Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Knock On Podcast brought to you by Zero Tackle.
Barry, what a week of rugby league it has been. It was really difficult narrowing it down to 3 discussion points for this. I might have put a few hot ones later in the thing, but it is what it is, mate. This has been a week that has been controversial and a lot of fun, and I think everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's a barbecue.
Luke Brooks gets a barbecue. Now, how else could the West Tigers say thank you to a player who has played, 200 games for them? Never taken them to a finals appearance. Never even got close, really. They gave him a barbecue. Wow, a barbecue. Okay. Okay, that's all I can say, really, is thanks. Like, how inconvenient that they built it as well. Now he's going to pull it apart to stick it in his car to drive home.
I don't, mate. I'm torn on this one. It's a nice gesture.
Yeah, it's a great gesture.
The amount of Tigers fans up in arms about this and the amount of people that can't see how hilarious it is really bothering me. The bloke's standing there with his child and his partner, and there's just this random barbecue in the middle. What? Okay, awesome. And then I saw other people go, oh, well, they didn't have to get him anything. Yet, look, they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's great in theory, and who knows, right? Luke Brooks may be a barbecuer and not the James Maloney type of barbecuer. He may be a, steak consigliere or, loves himself a good snag on the barbie. But, man, do it in private. Don't wheel a barbecue out on the field. God, I don't know. God help the Tigers, because no matter what they do, it's wrong because everything they seem to do is wrong.
It is. And once again, I go back to the fans. Now, Tigers fans are up in arms because people like yourself and I are having a bit of a laugh about it. Mm-hmm. And they're saying, oh, well, it's a nice gesture and he's on record as saying he loves to cook. And that is absolutely fantastic. But I just want to draw a picture. There's a man standing in the middle of an empty stadium with a random barbecue behind him. This is a bloke who has been at the club for as long as we can remember, and the raps on him were humongous. Now, I don't want to get into the, zero finals. Well, I snuck it in just quietly. But there were a lot of Tigers fans that were coming at me and saying, well, what would you have given him? And I said, well, he's earned close to $6.5 million from the club, which he's earned, and that's debatable. But they're contracts, and he's lived up to it. I think he had one season where he was largely unavailable, but otherwise he's been available. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is a chat for another time. And this was a bloke who, undernard and tried to lead the club, and they said no, and then they tried to wrestle him, and he said no. And finally, there's come a split. He's off to Manly. He didn't get a home game, which I laughed was very funny. But I don't mean that. I wish he had got a send-off, and I wish it had been at one of their 7 other home grounds, not the cavernous whatever stadium it is right now. So it is a bit of a shame. But I go back, Terry. It's a guy standing there with a random barbecue. Exactly what you said. This is something that should have happened away from people like me who sit on podcasts and make fun of it. Yes, it's a lovely gesture, but it's a barbecue.
Yeah, I had someone say the same thing to me now, or what, literally, just before we got in here, what would you have given Luke Brooks? Probably nothing. 205 games, 0 finals appearances, a couple of fat contracts. He's been there since 2013 and hasn't lived up to any of his talent whatsoever, right? I might have given him a signed jersey, or not really even a signed jersey. He can go and get that himself, or a picture frame or something like that. But if I was going to give him something, whether I was going to give him a barbecue or a Ferrari, do it in private. Just do it in private. I know it's a nice gesture, but they got it wrong again, the Tigers.
Now, Terry, that was a bit of a light humour, but something that isn't so light. Josh Schuster's been dropped again.
Man, rough scenes out at Manly. You bat off the West Tigers and keep Josh Schuster there on a big money deal, and 6 weeks later he's been dropped. And I mean, this is he's been dropped for Jacob Arthur. And then okay, well, have you put him on the back row? No, Ben Travojevic is there. Is he on the bench? No, there's a guy named Chan Kum Tong and Aaron Woods. He's not even in the 22. They've got a guy with a broken back in the extended squad and not their star 5'8". What do they think they're going to achieve by dropping him for the final 2 years? I get it. Remove him from 5'8", but put him in the forwards. Put him on the bench. What are you going to achieve here by removing? He's been there all year when he's been available. What are you doing now? What message is that sending? Is it like you haven't even sent him to Blacktown? You've just sent him into the abyss. That's not going to make him any better.
I don't know. There were some Manly fans that were saying, "Oh, we need him playing for Blacktown because we got to win." Blah blah blah. He's not eligible for finals. You got to play a certain amount of games. You can't just say, "Hey, I'm ready." You've got to play. I think it's 6 or 7. There was a fast school a couple of years ago where a Bulldogs player was put on for the kickoff, then came off.
Yeah, and then he went and played first grade.
Yeah, he went and played first grade, but he was eligible and he played in the New South Wales Cup final series because they were there and, of course, the Bulldogs weren't. But this is a bloke that they've shelled out huge money for. Now, I think he's on a hiding to nothing here based on the fact that the 800K got out, the fact that he missed a World Cup, where he was going to be an integral player of a team that made the final in the end for Samoa. He's missed that to work on his game. Now, I have no doubt that he was, and had good intentions, but it didn't work. The blokes had 2 or 3 good highlights, and don't get me wrong, they've been fun. This is a guy who can be gone missing for 79 minutes, then do something amazing. You're like, geez, Schuster's had a good game. Then you think, no, he hasn't, because he's barely done anything. They've signed Luke Brooks to come in and play halves, so Josh Schuster has to play as many minutes in the back row as possible to get his body and his mind ready for his role next year. Sitting him out, I don't even know. He'll probably be named for Blacktown later in the week because they can do that for the next 2 weeks or the next week rather, because then it's into finals. I don't see a point to this unless it's a disciplinary, hey, you're dropped and you know why, and they just haven't released that, which to their credit, they don't need to. That's the only solution I can find here.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. And especially when you said, Ben Trbojevic is on the left edge, and that is where Schuster has played, on that left edge. And, their big name or the big recruit for the left edge back row, Kelma Tuolangi, he's on the bench as well. So it doesn't, this just doesn't make sense. I get it. There's 2 games to go. Manly can't make the finals now, but this isn't the message that you want to send him. That's just not it. They've got that wrong.
Is this some Harvard overthinking at work?
Oh, I don't think so. I just think that I think they're trying to make a point. There's just a better way to do it.
I agree, but more on that later too. But let's talk some positivity, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
The NRL finals. We're in 2 weeks to go. We have 11 teams that can theoretically make the finals. I'm going to say there's 10 because I'm putting Parramatta. Gonskis?
Yeah, Parramatta are done.
But as you said on Outlaws, please make sure you jump on. Cronulla can finish as high as 4th or as low as 10th. Talk to me.
Yeah, I think that's it would take a significant turn of events for Cronulla to drop out of the top 8. You're talking about the Cowboys need to be perfect and make up a significant points differential. The Roosters need to make up about 190 points as well as win both their games and hope Cronulla don't win one. And again, the Cowboys have to make up 70 points plus be perfect, plus hope Cronulla don't make that up. Now, you go to the Cowboys, 70 points, okay, Cronulla could get flogged by Newcastle, get flogged by the Raiders, and the Cowboys can win both their games. But when you're talking about the Roosters, they have to win 2 games, hope Cronulla lose 2 games, make up that 190-point differential. I don't think they can jump it. So I think Cronulla, you can put them in the safe category. I think Newcastle's draw gets them in the safe category as well. The Raiders for and against sees them a little bit on life support. I'm gonna, with the suspension of Latrell Mitchell, I'm gonna go bold and say that the Rabbitohs are the team that are gonna miss the top 8. I think the top 7 teams are locked in, and I think it's going to come down to a shootout in the final round between the Rabbitohs and the Roosters. And no Latrell, no party.
I agree. Everything you said. Now, I was just looking, Scott Pride, who, of course, works, extensively with yours truly at Zero Tackle, wrote a brilliant article.
Mhm.
And he broke it all down. He pretty much said, this can happen, but this needs to happen. This needs to happen. If you want to jump on and have a look, it's fantastic. Really, really in depth, far more than what we can go into.
We'll drop a link to that in the comment section as well.
Absolutely right. But look, yeah, I agree with you. I think the top 7 are locked in. I think the Cowboys are gone, and I don't think South have the the power, the strike power left without the ball.
I mean, you have a look at the Cowboys, right? They've got the Dolphins this weekend, who they should dispatch of. They should beat the Dolphins. They come up against Penrith. Now, years gone by, Penrith rest their players, but they're starting to strategically do that the last month and a bit. They've left players out. They've held players back. Someone's got an injury. Okay, you can sit it out. So I don't think they need to do that mass overhaul of not having 13 of your 17 best players play like they did last year against the Cowboys. I think Penrith in the last round, if they know they can win the minor premiership, they're going to go for it. They'll tell you that they don't really care about it, but they're going to go for it. But any kind of slip up now from the Broncos, just, if the Broncos lose and Penrith win this week, then they're probably going to be the minor premiers, and they may rest it. So that goes in the Cowboys' favour as well. The Roosters they've got the Tigers, I believe.
Yep, correct.
Yeah, they got the Tigers and then the Rabbits. So that's going to be the Rabbitohs game is going to be a tough game, but I think they're going to have enough to get over the top of it as well. Sam Walker back for the Roosters as well. So I think that's going to be a great shootout. The fact that we've got 3 teams going into one. Melbourne, we've declared Melbourne safe. Well, Melbourne are safe. I'm declaring the Sharks safe. I'm declaring the Knights safe. I'm putting the Raiders on life support, and I'm calling the Rabbitohs gone.
Now, Terry,
this
is something you've wanted to discuss for weeks. We actually bumped it last week because something happened late. Terry Sinbin, all yours, the buys, mate. Talk to us.
I get that you need to have them. I get that we need to have buys or the players need to have rests. I don't like the fact that we award 2 points for a buy. This is the only sport in the world that hands out points for doing nothing, essentially. The NBA, you don't get points, but that goes on a different kind of scoring system there. But you don't need to, one, we don't need to give points for buys, and 2, 3 buys this year, maybe a bit overkill because we've still got teams having buys in round 26 and round 27. Last year that didn't happen. The buys stopped around about round 20. If we're going to continue with this, we need the players rest, and I get it. The player welfare and everything comes back into it. But surely there is a better solution to this, and it's one that we always talk about, and that's the rep round. Shut the competition down for 3 weeks, play your origin game, or 2 weeks, play your origin game on a Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday. Have the players who elect to go and play for their country in there, and everyone else just gets a rest. Everyone else gets a rest. And then maybe do 1 buy for everyone else as well. But we don't need to have this 3 buy system. We don't need to award points for doing nothing. The most frustrating thing as well is going in and doing your ladder predictors now. Is that I get it, the 17 teams in the competition, it's so annoying. It's so annoying that we're awarding points for this. Shut it down, get the 18th team in as quick as we can, get the rep round into it. Oh, Dan, I hate it. I really hate the buys. I get it. We have to have it. We have to have it now. But round 27, like Parramatta have got to buy. Round 26, the Rabbitohs have got to buy. Rabbitohs fans were lauding the fact that they had a buy in round 26 until Latrell Mitchell decided to elbow someone in the back of the head, and now they're going to miss him for round 27. It's, odd numbers in the competition. Yes, you've got to have it. It's stupid awarding points. There's no foresight to the NRL turning around and going, we've got the 17th team coming in. We can't tell you when the 18th team is going to happen. You're just going to have to put up with this crappy draw. No, get the 18th team in as quick as we can. Give everybody a bye. Shut the competition down for 3 weeks. Don't give anybody any points. It's that simple. Now, Dan.
Talk to me, Terry.
You and I, we do love a good rumour. We do love a little bit of innuendo. But we hate the stupid rumours. Talk to me.
During the week, Terry, as I'm sure you're aware, Jack Wighton backflipping on the Rabbits was floated by an account. I don't know who it was. I don't care. First and foremost, I hate these rumours. This is just silly, and this is a two-part dropkick this week. One, the person who started this rumour is a dropkick for starting a rumour that's obviously not true. Jack Wighton's come out and shut it down really quickly, which I actually really like. I hate when these rumours are out there. Like you get these WhatsApp messages of, this player's this and this, and the clubs know it's crap and they don't say anything in it. It sort of becomes folklore almost, and then, nothing ever happens. People forget about it. You just want the club to come out and just say, shut your mouths. It's not true. It's crap. So huge props to Jack Wighton. But the major issue I have with this is you can't just backflip on deals anymore. There was a time where you'd sign contracts and you had that ridiculous waiting period of, months and months and months. Then they brought it back to a smaller, and then it became like a week. That's not there anymore. You sign a contract, you're obligated. Now, Jack Wighton's quite within his rights to, if he wanted to change his mind, go to South and say, hey, look, this and this have come up. I don't want to come there anymore. What can we do? And South can say, hey, we'll see you on November 2nd. Or they can sit and work it out. And, of course, Canberra would have to, it's a whole mess. But players can no longer just go, you know what? I don't think I'll go there. Like a couple of years ago, I'm sure everyone will remember James Tedesco signed for Canberra. Months later, decided, don't like the look of that, and backflipped, as was his right at the time. Completely messed up Canberra's recruitment, which, you're not going to catch me crying any tears for. But even further back, Daly Cherevin signs a monster deal for the Titans. The Titans say, oi, our cap's full, we can't sign, we're not talking to players. DCE backflip, sign a huge deal with Manly. And the Titans are still catching up now, however many, 8 or 10 years later. But the fact of the matter is, the NRL took the appropriate steps. You cannot backflip just cause anymore. So these rumours of, Souths are going to be angry, backflip. You cannot backflip. It's a process now. It is much, much better. Of course, it's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. And if it comes out that Wighton does want to stay, so be it. Don't start bullshit rumours. And don't start bullshit rumours that aren't even believable. Please, at least make them fun. Now, Terry, we got a busy set restart here. These supposed to be quick fire. I don't know. They might take some discussion. But the words the Tigers fans did not want to hear. The chairman says he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, now Lee Haggy-Pintelis has said, rightfully so, I'm not going to step down. Why should I? It's not my fault. Whose fault is it? Justin Pascoe has failed to deliver anything in his time as the CEO. This guy's failed. I don't know how long he's been the chairman for now, but it's incredible. They haven't had a plan whatsoever since they've been there. And in all honesty now, Dan, how long do you think it's going to be until the Tigers play one more finals game? Because I'm looking at that squad. I'm looking at their plan. I'm looking at how they're turning around saying, Benji Marshall's going to be this, and Robbie Farah's he's not going to be the assistant coach anymore. He's going to be the general manager because we want John Morris in there. And, we've signed a whole heap of junior players that we don't know if they're going to be any good or not, but no current first graders want to come to us because we're back-to-back spooners. 5, 6 years, 7 years? Could they go 2 decades without playing a finals game?
It's not impossible. I'm going to lock in 3. I think if you get recruitment done well, it's a 3-year turnaround. Now, I thought they recruited well last year, but they haven't improved. They've gone backwards, and that's not opinion. That's factual. Unless by some chance the Dragons, proverbially the bed, but I can't see that happening. You had those kids they've signed in, and I think Caesar is clever, and I think Sullivan can be a good footballer. Buller's the star. If he comes good, if he has a Tedesco-like rise, 3 years. If not, it could be 5 to 6.
Yeah, but the thing with Jureen Buller is he hit the NRL by storm, and now, like the last 4 or 5 weeks, he hasn't really done much.
No, true, but I mean the season's done. This is his first year in first grade. I've seen enough.
The season was done when he came into first grade, though, dude.
Look, true, but he had to prove himself. And you're right, factually, you're right. But I think there's a superstar footballer there. Look, now those that haven't seen the quote, he's come out and said that until the job is done, i.e., they win a premiership, he's not going anywhere. All I heard from Tigers fans all day was, let's win a premiership and get rid of this bloke. But I guarantee you, Terry, the second they win a premiership, he'll go, well, I got another 20 years in me because I can get it done.
Yeah. And Justin Pascoe will be like, well, we've got the formula now, so we might as well stay on together. Look, we could do a whole episode on the Tigers and what they need to do and what they shouldn't do, and how long it's going to be. I'm with you. I'm probably got a little bit longer down the track. I think it's going to be. I reckon I'm going to be in my 40s when the Tigers make the finals. Yeah.
Rough scene. But, mate, a player who has come under a lot of, conjecture this week.
Mm-hmm.
Lazy Latrell Mitchell, mate. We've seen pundits, fans going hard on Latrell. What do you make of his performance? What do you make of his midweek beer? Any other thoughts?
I mean, his performance, how can you call him lazy when he made 200 and something meters? Okay. The worst part about social media is people drop screenshots to make something negative, right? So the Rabbitohs made a break on the right-hand side of the field, and they said, well, where was Latrell in support? Latrell was in the middle. He didn't know they were going short side. He was ready for the decoy play. You could see Lachlan Ellis, you could see Cody Walker, and you could see Latrell Mitchell. So he was getting ready for the sweeping play out to Alex Johnson's wing. The other thing that I have with this targeted the target that they paint on Latrell Mitchell is the wrong people are doing it. The wrong people, like seeing James Magnuson come out and say, oh, you shouldn't have had a midweek beer. Brother, you're in a Still Knox ring over in the Olympics, and you were running around a hotel at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to disrupt other people's preparations, and you lost the unlosable race. So you probably just need to shut your mouth. Like straight up there. Then the other person who's going in is Braithen Astor, and we all saw how good you were at fullback for the Tigers, mate. Like pipe down. It's the wrong people having a go at him. It's not coaches coming out and having to go at Latrell Mitchell, because if you talk to his coaches, if you talk to Brad Fittler, if you talk to Michael Maguire, who has been involved with him in some point in his life, if you speak to Wayne Bennett, they all rave about it. They all turn around and just praise how good he has been in, Origin camps, Australian camps, the Roosters camps. It wasn't Michael Maguire, it was Trent Robinson. And they all rave about him. But it's the wrong people doing the wrong. Yes, Souths are in bad form, but you don't need to go after Cody Walker and Latrell Mitchell just because it's cheap and it's easy and it's going to get you a reaction point of view. Go after the halfback who's underperforming. Go after Jason Demetriou for picking Tane Milne over Tyrone Munro. Go after the forwards not laying a foundation for him to go forward. Go after the fact that they went short side despite the fact they had the left edge ready to run a play. But Latrell Mitchell, if you go after these people, if you go after Lachlan Ilias and you go after Tom Burgess getting suspended, it's not going to get you the likes and clicks that you want. Lazy journalism or lazy Latrell, it's lazy journalism.
Couldn't agree more. Now, we're both unashamed Latrell Mitchell fans, so I should just put it out there. I don't think he played well on the weekend. I straight up don't think he played well. Newcastle.
Yeah, but I don't think he was lazy.
No, me neither. I just don't think he played well. Now, the criticism on Latrell is that he can go missing in big games, but then you see him bust up out of nowhere. And he won the Roosters a premiership with his one play in that grand final. He's won Origins on the back of one play. This bloke was the best centre in the game, and you cannot talk me out of that. It wasn't even close. On his day, no one could match Latrell Mitchell. The only bloke who could get anywhere close was on the opposite side of the field in Joey Manu. It's only Latrell going to fullback that Manu has claimed to be in the best centre. Now, at fullback, okay, this weekend, I don't think he was good. There was a bomb that went up that he looked at the winger looked at him, it bounced in, Latrell took it and looked to pass. I know where this is coming from, but this is a bloke who made 200 metres and was backing up numerous times. I could go in and find 10 screenshots of backup runs he made where he didn't receive the ball. That is lazy. That is cherry picking one thing and building a case around one thing. Now, I get it. We've all done it for likes and we're upsetting South fans online, but this was a genuine attack. Again, This is a bloke who's on big money and expected to do big things, but this is a guy who's come off a long-term injury. You can't. His body's not right. He's not 100% fit. I think he would admit that. Now, the big issue I had was midweek. We saw him get on stage, drink a beer with a country music star. Look, I don't know who he is. I'm not cool. I don't get it. These blokes obviously do. And everyone's going, oh, that's bad, that's bad. That was on Tuesday night. The game was on the weekend. It's not as though they had a Thursday game and this is Wednesday night, in which case I would say, that was dumb. Now, I don't agree with the look. I don't think NRL players, Nico Hines included, should be up there drinking with these stars and getting in the reaction, blah, blah, blah. But Nico Hines had just won a game a couple nights earlier for his team and was on an off day and went to a concert. Okay, I get it. These players are allowed personal lives. Now, that doesn't mean they should be at Northies punching on beers and getting into fights at 3 a.m. and stuff. But this was a midweek thing at a decent time. He wasn't acting the fool. And James Magnuson, I'm glad you brought that up. I call him the dud missile. This is a bloke who had the world at his feet and fell short at the end because of decisions he made and then, acted up. Whatever. It all happens. We've all done dumb things. But for him to go after Latrell, even if I believed in what he was saying, I would say, no way. I think Latrell is a fantastic player. I think his moment of madness has cost his team huge. I get the criticism, but I don't think he's lazy. Now, Terry, we have an announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Payne Haas is officially uncatchable when it comes to the zero tackle MVP. Now, for those that don't follow on the website, there's 4 of us that vote every single week. We give 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in every game NRL across and Origin, but Origin's completely separate. So, Payne Haas is now got an unassailable lead. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's been one of the best players in the competition this year. I like the Penrith players. I do think that when it comes to the Dally M medal, that he's got a teammate that's going to rob a lot of points off him. And I think in Haas's case, he's got a few teammates recently that are going to rob some points off him because Herbie Farnworth's been unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
Reece Walsh has been unplayable. Adam Reynolds has been unplayable. Pat Carrigan has been unplayable. And Ezra Mam has been unplayable as well. And Billy Walters had a career game the other night. So then when you're talking about that, there are any one of Penrith players, I think Isaiah has won the ABC Grandstand Award. But when it comes to the Daily M medal, I think you're going to have Nathan Cleary, Dylan Brown, Jerome Luai, Stephen Crichton, Brian Toto, James Fisher-Harris, all those guys taking points off him. So when it comes to the big one, I think Sean Johnson's going to run away with it. I love seeing front rowers and back rowers get recognition. I loved it when Jason Taumalolo won the Daily M medal. So I'm glad that you guys at the Knock On have awarded Payne Haas the MVP. I think that's great. If you listen to Gordon Tallis on Triple M the other day, you're a fool for it because he said that Payne Haas wasn't a top 3 prop in the game and didn't deserve $1 million. So that's where I said, I think it's great. I'd love to be on the votes next year as well.
Maybe I can get that done, Scott, if you're watching. It's this way. Now, obviously, I helped vote in this, so I agree. So with the 5, 4, 3, 2, yeah, look, amazing. I went back and checked real quick, and I put Payne Haas as my either man of the match or 4 or 3. I think more than anyone. So I am a humongous fan. I think he's had a tremendous season. Look, the Dally M's aren't about – it's not the same. It's not the same award, let's be honest. I think Sean Johnson's going to win the Dally M. I think if Kalen Ponga had played 3 or 4 more weeks, he probably wins the Dally M because he would have got 12s for the past 5 weeks probably. So, the voting's a little bit different, but the difference between a 3 and a 2 in the Dally M is monstrous because he gets doubled. So a couple in a row and whooshka. Whereas same with the 5s. If all 4 of us put 5, that's 20 points. Whereas if someone like, say, Nico has an okay game and some give him 1, some give him 5, there's huge differences. So obviously this isn't going to mirror the Dally M, is what I'm saying. So I'm not necessarily saying that Payne Haas should win the Dally M, but I'm saying if he's not top 5, there's something wrong with the system because he's been a top 5 player this year. Now, the other players that were there were Johnson was there, Nico Hines was there, Reece Walsh polled extremely well, and Adam Fanua-Blake was probably the bolter. Looking at it now, you'd say, geez, he and Payne Haas are probably the form props of the competition. Don't think you're getting the argument. Either or.
Not according to Gordon Tallis. Not according to Gordon Tallis.
Well, that just proves that we are right. So congrats to Payne Haas. Votes are still going for another 2 weeks, and I think we have a finals MVP too. But last year was James Tedesco, who polled very well in the Dally M. Nico didn't win it, but look, either or, I don't think either are wrong.
System's flawed if Nico didn't win it.
Now, Terry, there are a lot of teams either searching or potentially looking for a new coach And we've seen the same names roll around. Oh, Griffin this and Flanagan that, and blah, blah, blah. What about Adrian Lam, future NRL coach?
I don't hate the shout. I think he's done very well with Lee, and he's won the Challenge Cup. And let's face it, Lee this year looked like they were going to be a shambles from the moment they released that jersey. But no, like he's done an excellent job with them at the moment. I think he's going to play in the right way, and it was good to see the Challenge Cup as well. Didn't feature one of the big four teams in there, so I was pretty happy with that. I would love to see him stay in the Super League for another 2 or 3 years before a team takes a punt on him. You don't want him to have the Justin Holbrook syndrome, which is then going into the Kevin Wolf syndrome, which has gone to Steve Price and everybody else, although Steve Price did it the reverse way. I'd love to see him just chalk a few more seasons up to see how he can go. He's recruited really well. And, I mean, it's refreshing to see these new names being thrown up rather than, I know he's your mate and I know you've interviewed him, but seeing Matty Elliott's name jump up, Anthony Griffin's name jump up, all the coaches that you don't really want near your club. I think he's got a future. I'd just love to see him do it for a couple more years over in Super League.
No, I couldn't agree more. I'm a big proponent of we got to give these guys a chance. Like, we've seen Sam Burgess going over there. If he goes well, I have no doubt he'll be coaching NRL before too long. I think that's pretty obvious to anyone. But, Lam, very likeable guy, despite the fact he's a Queenslander, and that says a lot. And he's gone over there and he's got all the passion in the world. He had some time at Wigan and he was sort of very, very popular over there. He's turned his son into a superstar. Son kicked the winner, the Golden Point winner, field goal. Ripper of field goal too. It wasn't a plant 10 metre out, ice in his veins, Nathan Cleary field goal. There's a crack. It was fantastic, brilliant theatre. And, with the greatest respects to Lee, I mean, they're not Wigan, they're not St Helens, they're not, Warrington.
They are fourth in the Super League, though. So Catalans are running away with it at the moment. Wigan is second, St Helens are third. And then you've got Lee in there at fourth. And they've sneakily beaten the teams above them. So, I mean, he's doing a great job and his son's playing incredibly well as well. But as I said, just don't if you're an NRL club looking for a coach, don't go after him just because he's had one good season. And if you're Adrian Lam, don't go for that payday just because you've had one season. Because as good as you've been at Lee, if you end up coaching the Tigers, brother, you get sacked in 18 months. Just be patient.
Now, Terry, it's time for the mailbag.
I haven't seen the questions again.
No, I've seen them. You haven't. So I'm just going to hit you with them and get your thoughts first up. So this one comes from our great mate, Ryan.ch_98. What a name, by the way, just quietly. At the moment, Latrell isn't fit enough to be fullback, but has the potential to be great.
I would like to see him moved away from fullback. I really would. South Sydney's issue in the back line. Look, go out and get yourself a strike fullback. Find a decent junior who can go and play there. Put Jack Wighton there. Get Latrell out of it. Get him in the centres and let him play the Joey Manu role where he can pop up anywhere on the field and then he just has to go back and defend at centre. I don't think it's a case that he's not fit enough. He had 24 runs on the weekend for 200 metres and you can't be a scrub doing that. I put him back in the centres where he excelled and where he plays his best football and where he plays his representative football. That's the answer for South Sydney.
He doesn't get involved enough, so I know where this is coming from. I don't think it's a fitness thing. I think it's he doesn't come across as a natural fullback to me. I think he doesn't have those instincts of I see this. A tremendous player. I mean, if he came to Cronulla tomorrow, I'd be over the moon,
right? Over the moon, as long as he was playing centre.
Absolutely. He and Campbell Graham are the best centre pairing, and that should be the New South Wales centre pairing next year. Let's face it. I'm going to go controversial here, and I think I want him involved more in defence because he gets frustrated, and at the back, he's not making tackles every set, and he's thinking, and he's doing stupid things. If he's watching his opposition centre and he's hitting him twice or 3 times or even 4 times, in a 5-minute period, he's switched on. He's not making these dumb decisions. So I think it's moved to centre beckons, but on the money he's on, can't see it happening. Now, this is a big hot take. This one comes from NQCowboys.news. So I was expecting something Cowboys, but it isn't. The Warriors have a better chance at the grand final than the Broncos.
Well, I said this. I said this the other day on, I think it was on Outlaws, that I think the Warriors match up a little bit better because they throw the ball around, and that's what Penrith hate. Penrith hate teams that get the offloads, and if you had any chance against them, it's the immovable object though, right? Is that Penrith's defense is so good that they could probably just shut that down, and yeah, I don't know. It's a 2-horse race at the moment for mine, but the Warriors are right there, and whilst I don't think they can win it, I definitely think that the worst part for the Warriors is they're in that 2 versus 3 game. So if they end up 2 versus 3 against the Broncos and lose, they go over to Penrith's side of the draw, and I think that does them. So, I mean, beat the Broncos, get yourself a home final, get yourself into the grand final. I'd love to see it. Yeah, I think if they lose week 1 of the finals, and if they lose week 1 of the finals against the Broncos, I think they're done.
I'd be super boring. You took the words right out of my mouth. Whoever wins 2 versus 3 plays Penrith in the grand final. It's as simple as that. Because if the difference between them hosting a prelim and then having to go to Penrith or Allianz or Homebush, wherever Penrith choose to play the game, is night and day. Plus the fact that they'll be playing back to back to back. Sean Johnson, for all his brilliance, hasn't, he had that one tremendous World Cup where he hit form at the right end. They went on a grand final, and he was pretty good, but he doesn't have that reputation, whereas an Adam Reynolds definitely does, where it's the biggest games are where Adam Reynolds steps up the most. And if you had to give me Reynolds or Johnson on grand final days versus Clear, I'm taking Reynolds every day. Even though I think
it didn't work once before, though. He missed the goal.
It didn't. Look, yes, but I will blame Cody Walker for that. But I think in terms of ceiling, I think Sean Johnson's best game is better than Adam Reynolds' best game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Fanua Blake is the best forward in the game, but Payne Haas is a very close number 2. I think these two teams, I think the gap between Penrith and Brisbane is a lot bigger than the gap between Brisbane and the Warriors. I think either of those two teams, I know I'm sitting on the fence. I'm going to lean just towards Brisbane because their centre pairing is excellent, whereas I think, with the greatest respects, the Warriors probably isn't. But
yeah, the Warriors' biggest weakness is their centre combination.
Definitely, but then you got Dallin scoring tries for fun, so
because they cut the centre out.
Look, they do. They know they have to. Broncos just, but I don't hate that shout.
But the big question for mine is, who's the 5'8" going into the finals? Is it Tamari Martin or is it Luke Walsh? Is it Luke Metcalf or Tamari Martin?
Luke Metcalf. He's got him to 3rd place.
See, Warriors fans don't want him. Don't want him. No kicking game called him a ball hog.
He's playing pretty well. Well, you can release him back to Cronulla then if you got a problem.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Knock On, brought to you by Zero Tackle. Always great content on that website. Dan, what have we got coming up this week?
Well, I'll tell you what we don't have. I've just checked my DMs real quick. Someone, Scott, has passed on an article written by someone, and they've copied and pasted their AI prompts in the article. I don't think that'll last very, very long, but I guarantee you that won't be it. Now, I've just finished my rankings late on this afternoon. I took some time out of work where I was very busy otherwise if the bosses are watching. But look for those. There may be a shock, or maybe there isn't. You'll have to find out.
Yeah, look, and for everyone else who missed the interview with Glenn Humphreys, go out and do it. The book is absolutely incredible. I'm a few chapters into it now. It's really hard to put it down. So make sure you go and get that. $19 at your nearest Big W. It is an incredible read. If you haven't seen the interview that Dan did with Glenn Humphreys for the launch of Jack Gibson's fur coat, get on there and watch it. Ignore Dan. Glenn Humphreys was amazing. And we'll see you again next week.